She was nobody wanted. Then she changed everything. 1,100 days. That is not a rough estimate. That is not an approximation to make the number sound bigger. That is the actual count of the days that Miley spent inside a rescue facility, waiting for someone to come through the door and choose her. Most dogs in rescue get adopted in weeks. Some take months. The ones that take longer than a year are the ones who teach you something about how invisible certain animals become. Not because they are dangerous, not because they are broken, but because they have been waiting so long that people stop seeing them clearly. They become part of the furniture, part of the sad background, part of the story that nobody wants to be in. Miley was in that story for 3 years. And then, in the space of one afternoon, she changed the life of another dog she had never even met. Subscribe right now, because what happens next is the kind of thing that makes you believe rescue works. We find these stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and this one is worth staying for.
She had been at Saving Sage longer than almost any other dog currently waiting. Not quite as long as Miley, but close enough that the staff knew her name the same way they knew Miley's name. The same way you know the name of someone who has been standing in the same place long enough to become part of the landscape. When Miley was adopted, something shifted. Not just emotionally, practically, physically. Because Miley's room was now empty. And Pudding, who had been in a busier, noisier section of the facility, was moved into it. What happened next was captured on video and shared by Saving Sage. Pudding walked into a room that felt more like a living room than a kennel. There was a couch. There were toys. There were people ready to give him attention. And underneath the television, which was on because this rescue believes that background noise helps anxious animals feel less alone, there was a handwritten sign that said, "Welcome Pudding." He did not understand any of it. Dogs do not understand signs. They do not understand that the couch they are sitting on used to belong to another dog who finally made it home. They do not understand that their moment of comfort was made possible by someone else's happy ending. But Pudding settled onto the couch anyway. A volunteer sat beside him and scratched his chin. Someone tossed a plush octopus in his direction, and he grabbed it, tossed it around the room, and came back for more scratches. He traded the octopus for a croissant-shaped toy at some point, because when you have been in a noisy kennel for months, and you suddenly have a couch and a television and someone dedicated entirely to your comfort, you start to remember that you're actually a dog, and dogs enjoy things. He rolled onto his back. He got belly rubs. He closed his eyes. He was still waiting for his forever family. But in that moment, in Miley's old room with the welcome Pudding sign and the plush octopus, he was not waiting the way he had been waiting before. There is a thing that happens in animal rescue that does not get talked about enough. Every adoption creates space. Not just physical space, though that too, and it matters enormously when a facility is operating at capacity, but emotional space, visibility space, the space that lets someone who has been invisible become visible again. Miley was adopted. Pudding moved into her room. The video that Saving Sage shared of Pudding settling into his new space went online and earned hundreds of comments. People saw a dog they had never seen before. People started asking about Pudding. His story was suddenly being told in a way that his story had not been told before, because the story of one dog's happy ending had illuminated another dog's waiting. That is the chain. That is how rescue works when it works the way it is supposed to work. One good thing makes room for another good thing. One family's decision ripples forward in ways they could not have planned for. Miley spent 1,100 days being invisible. When she finally left, she made someone else a little more visible. And Pudding, whose name is Pudding, who likes plush octopuses and croissant-shaped toys and belly rubs and chin scratches and the sound of a television in the background, is waiting in a room that feels like a home, with a sign on the wall that says he is welcome for the family that is going to come through the door. They are out there. They always are. They just have to find him. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, share it. Every share is how dogs like Pudding get found. Subscribe for new rescue stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We will be back Friday, and we will have another one for you. Take care of yourselves.